You know what I love about this cafe? They actually have a water refill station now. Right there, next to the counter. So I filled this up on the way in. No queue, no plastic, no extra cost.
That is great. I should have done that.
Should have? Miles, what is that in your hand?
It is... Okay, yes. It is a plastic bottle. I bought it from the shop across the street. I know. I know what you are thinking.
I am not thinking anything. I am just looking at it.
The thing is, I do own a reusable bottle. A really nice one, actually. Stainless steel. Keeps water cold for hours. It was not cheap. And right now, it is sitting on my kitchen counter, completely empty, exactly where I left it this morning.
Again?
Again. Every single morning, I tell myself, today I am going to remember. And every single morning, I grab my keys, my phone, my wallet, and I walk straight past it. I keep meaning to bring it, but I always forget.
And that right there is exactly what today's episode is about. Welcome to Pocket English Daily. I am Nora.
And I am Miles, the guy who keeps buying plastic bottles even though he owns a perfectly good reusable one.
Today we are not talking about saving the planet. We are not giving a science lecture. We are not going to tell you what you should or should not do. Today, we are talking about those small things you keep saying you will do, but somehow never quite manage.
The bottle you forget, the bag you leave at home. The leftovers you meant to eat but forgot about until they turned into a science experiment at the back of the fridge.
We have all been there.
And the reason we are talking about this is not the habits themselves. It is the language. Because in English, talking about everyday choices with a friend is a real skill. You need to share opinions, disagree politely, compare options, and make small promises, all in a way that sounds natural.
So by the end of this episode, you will know how to give your opinion using phrases like, "For me, it is easier to." You will know how to disagree softly without saying, "Oh, you are wrong." And you will know how to make one small, honest commitment. Just one thing, starting tonight.
If you have ever sat with a friend and wanted to talk about what you do, what you skip, what actually works, this episode gives you the phrases. No textbook, no exam. Just two friends at a cafe figuring it out together.
All right, in a moment, Miles and I are going to have a real conversation about our daily habits. Some of it is going to be honest. Some of it is going to be a little embarrassing. But before we start, I want to give you 3 conversation moves to listen for. These are not just vocabulary words. These are patterns. The kind of moves that English speakers use all the time when they are chatting with friends about everyday choices. The first move, the opinion move. When English speakers share what they think, they soften it first. They say, "For me, it is easier to," or, "Personally, I think," that "for me" at the beginning tells the other person, "This is my view." Not the only view, just mine. And it invites the other person to share theirs.
The second move, it's soft disagree. In English, we almost never say, "You are wrong" to a friend. Instead, we cushion it. We say, "I am not so sure about that." Or, "I see what you mean, but." "I see what you mean" shows respect first. Then the "but" gently redirects. Listen for how Nora and I push back on each other without making it personal.
And the third move, the realistic qualifier. The phrase, "It depends on." Real adult conversations are not yes or no. They're "it depends." Should you bring a reusable bag? It depends on where you are going. Should you walk to work? It depends on the weather. This phrase is gold because it shows you can think in shades, not just black and white. When a learner uses it well, they suddenly sound like they belong in the conversation.
So, 3 moves. The opinion move, "for me" or "personally." The soft disagree, "I am not so sure" or "I see what you mean, but." And the realistic qualifier, "It depends on." Keep your ears open. You are going to hear all three in the next few minutes. All right, so let us start with the easy stuff, the small swaps. The things that every article on the internet tells you to try first. And I am going to be honest, I have tried most of them. Some of them stuck, some of them did not.
Okay, start with the bottle. Because you already told us about that.
Right, the bottle. I own it. I like it. But remembering to bring it is a completely different skill. Every morning, I am rushing and I walk straight past it. It is right there on the counter, and my brain just does not connect those two things.
You know what I did? I moved mine. I used to keep my bottle in the kitchen like you, and I had exactly the same problem. I would leave the house and realize halfway to the station that it was sitting on the counter. So I tried something. I put the bottle next to my keys by the front door. Now I cannot leave without seeing it. I have been trying to do this for months, and honestly, the only thing that worked was just making it impossible to forget.
That is actually really smart. I never thought of that.
Listeners, did you catch that? I have been trying to do this. I have been trying to bring my bottle. I have been trying to eat less sugar. I have been trying to walk to work. It sounds natural. It sounds honest. And it tells the other person, I care about this and I am working on it, even if the results are not perfect yet.
What about bags? Do you always remember your reusable bag?
Not always, but I keep a small one folded up in my backpack. One of those thin nylon ones that folds up into almost nothing. So even when I forget to bring a separate bag, I usually still have one on me.
See, for me, it is easier to just grab one at the store. I know that sounds lazy, but when I am already carrying my laptop bag and a coffee and my phone, adding another bag to the equation just feels like too much.
I see what you mean, but those bags add up. Not just the plastic, I mean the cost. You are paying a small amount every single time, and over a month, it is not nothing.
I guess I never really added it up.
Did you catch that exchange? Miles softened his opinion with, for me, and I pushed back with, I see what you mean, but... Yeah, but... Like, not faceable. I acknowledged his point first, and then offered a different angle.
And that is the trick. If someone says, I see what you mean before the but, it feels completely fine. Without the acknowledgement, it feels like a fight. Tiny difference in the words, huge difference in the feeling. All right, what about the coffee cup? Have you tried bringing your own cup to a cafe?
I have, actually. I bought a reusable cup a few months ago. I used it about maybe 10 times, and then I just stopped.
Why?
Honestly, it felt awkward. Some cafes are fine with it. They take your cup, they fill it, no problem. But other places, you hand them your cup and they just look at you like you are making their day more complicated. And when there is a line of people behind you, you do not want to slow everything down.
I keep meaning to try it, but I always talk myself out of it for exactly that reason. I think it depends on the cafe. Some places have a system for it. Some places do not.
Actually, there is one version of this that works much better for me than the coffee cup thing. Refill pouches at home. Hand soap, dish soap, that kind of thing. I keep the same bottle by the sink and just refill it when it is empty. No line, no awkward moment, no one waiting behind me.
See, that makes total sense to me. For me, home habits are easier than public habits. If I am standing in my kitchen, I will do the refill. If I am standing in a busy cafe with 6 people behind me, I suddenly lose all confidence.
Exactly. And that is useful English too. For me, home habits are easier than public ones. It depends on whether I'm in a rush. That is how real adults explain these choices. Not with a big speech, just with context. And that is a completely fair answer. It depends. Not yes, not no. Just, it depends on the situation. Which is how most real decisions actually work. Can I tell you something embarrassing?
Always.
Last week, I opened my fridge on Sunday night and I found a container of pasta that I made on Tuesday. 5 days old. It was completely untouched. I had completely forgotten it was in there, and I had to throw the whole thing away.
That is the worst feeling.
It really is, because you can feel the waste. You cooked it, you spent time and money on the ingredients, and then you just let it sit there. So I have been trying to cut down on how much food I throw away. And the thing that has actually helped is, this is going to sound really boring, I started planning my meals.
Like a proper meal plan.
No, nothing that organized. I do not have a spreadsheet or an app. I literally just open the Notes app on my phone before I go shopping, and I type 3 or 4 meals I want to cook that week. That is it. And the difference has been surprising. Because when you know what you are going to cook, you only buy what you need. And when you only buy what you need, there is much less food sitting in the fridge slowly going bad.
I always think I will cook more than I actually do. I go to the supermarket with big plans. I buy fresh vegetables, nice chicken, some herbs, and then by Wednesday, I am eating toast for dinner and the vegetables are turning into something I do not want to describe.
That is incredibly relatable.
What do you think? Is meal planning actually worth the effort? Because it sounds like extra work on top of everything else.
For me, it is 100% worth it. And the reason is not just the waste. It actually saves time during the week. Because instead of standing in front of the fridge every night thinking, what can I make? I already know. I just follow the plan. And here's another thing I started doing. When I cook dinner, I make a little extra on purpose. Enough for leftovers.
Leftovers. I have a complicated relationship with leftovers.
What is complicated about it?
I am not great with leftovers. I put them in a container. I put the container in the fridge. And then I just pretend it does not exist. Until it has been in there too long, and I feel guilty throwing it away.
That is actually really common. A lot of people have exactly the same pattern. But here's the trick that works for me. I do not think of leftovers as old food sitting in the fridge. I think of them as tomorrow's lunch. That is already made. You are not eating yesterday's dinner. You are eating a free lunch that past you already cooked.
Past me is more generous than I thought.
And the phrase for this is use up. To use up leftovers, I need to use up that pasta before it goes bad. Use up means finish something so nothing is left. It sounds active, not wasteful. You are not eating old food. You are using it up.
Can I add one more food confession? I am very easily tricked by the phrase better value. If something is cheaper in a bigger size, I buy the bigger size. A big bag of spinach, a huge tub of yogurt, a giant bag of rice, and then half of it just sits there because I only cooked for myself twice that week.
That is such a real problem. Buying in bulk sounds smart, and sometimes it is. Rice, pasta, soap, things like that. Fine. But fresh food is different. If you do not use it up, it is not cheaper. It is just more waste in a larger package.
That is actually a very good sentence. If you do not use it up, it is not cheaper.
Exactly. It depends on what you buy and how many people you are cooking for. For one person, a giant bag of salad is not always the better deal. A smaller bag that you actually finish can be the smarter choice.
That is actually a good point. Maybe I will try the note on the phone thing. Just 3 meals. No spreadsheet.
That is all it takes.
And listeners, did you hear that? I said, that is actually a good point. That is a concession phrase. It means you convinced me. Or at least, you made me think differently. In English, being able to concede gracefully does not mean you lost. It means you are open. Okay, so we have talked about bottles, bags, cups, and food. What about the stuff at home? The small things that happen when nobody is watching.
Like what?
Like lights? Do you always turn off the lights when you leave a room?
Most of the time. But not always. Sometimes I leave the bathroom light on for no reason at all. I just walk out and forget. What about you?
I am actually pretty good with lights. That is the one habit I somehow managed to build. But chargers, that is a different story. My phone charger is plugged into the wall all day, every day, even when there is no phone attached to it. Just sitting there, drawing power for nothing.
You know you should unplug it, right?
I am not so sure it makes a big difference. Honestly, one charger? One little plug? How much energy can that possibly use?
It depends on how many things you leave plugged in. If it is just one charger, maybe not much. But most people have the phone charger, the laptop charger, the tablet cable, the speaker, the headphones dock, all plugged in, all the time. And together. That starts to add up. They call it standby power or phantom energy. Your devices are using electricity even when they are off. Not a lot, but it is not zero.
Phantom energy. That sounds like a horror film.
It does, but it is real. And the fix is simple. Just unplug things when you are not using them. Or use a power strip with an on-off switch so you can turn everything off at once. Do you know the water habit that finally stuck for me? Turning off the tap while I brush my teeth.
Really? Not shorter showers? Not some bigger challenge.
No, shorter showers sound good in theory, but for me, turning off the tap is easier because it happens in one tiny moment. Brush, turn off the water, brush, turn it back on. That is it.
That makes sense. It is easier than changing your whole morning routine.
Exactly. And that comparison language matters. It is easier than... It is more realistic than... Those phrases help you explain why one habit works for you and another one does not.
I suppose that is fair. All right, what about getting to work? How do you commute?
I walk. When the weather is good, it takes me about 25 minutes, and I actually love it. It is the best part of my morning. No headphones, no podcast, no phone, just walking and thinking.
That sounds nice. I drive. My office is about 30 minutes away, and there's not a great bus connection.
Do you drive alone?
I used to, but a colleague of mine, she lives about 10 minutes from my flat. And a few months ago, she suggested that we carpool. We take turns driving. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we go together.
What made you say yes?
Honestly, the money. We split the petrol cost. So those 2 days, my commute costs me half of what it normally does. And the company is actually nice. We talk about work, we talk about our weekends. It turned a boring drive into something I actually look forward to.
And notice Miles did not start carpooling because of a lecture. He started because it made his life easier and cheaper. That is usually how real habits stick.
That is true. Oh, and one more thing. Last month, I bought a jacket from a secondhand shop, not a charity shop, one of those curated vintage places that have really good stuff, and I love it. It is a proper leather jacket, great condition, and I paid about a third of what it would have cost new.
I love secondhand shopping. You find things that nobody else has. And you feel good because you are giving something a second life instead of buying something brand new that required all of that, manufacturing and shipping.
Not necessarily. Sometimes secondhand stuff is just fine. It is a jacket. It works. I did not buy it to make a statement. I bought it because it looked good and it was cheap.
And that is also completely valid. Not every decision has to be a big environmental gesture. Sometimes you just find a good deal. And that is also completely valid. Not every decision has to be a big environmental gesture. Sometimes you just find a good deal.
Exactly. And if I spill coffee on a secondhand jacket, I am annoyed. But I am not devastated. There is less pressure somehow.
That is a good point. People sometimes talk about secondhand shopping like it is a moral test. It is not. Sometimes it is about price, sometimes style, sometimes less pressure. Real life reasons are still real reasons. Okay, we have talked about a lot today. Bottles, bags, cups, food waste, meal planning, leftovers, lights, chargers, commuting, secondhand shopping. And if you are listening to all of this and thinking, that is too much, I cannot do all of that, good. Because we do not want you to do all of it.
We want you to pick one thing.
Just one, not 5, not 12. One small habit that you could realistically start this week. Something that does not require a major life change. Something you could do starting tonight.
I will go first. My one thing, I am going to put my reusable bottle next to my keys tonight before I go to bed. And tomorrow morning, when I grab my keys, the bottle will be right there. I will not be able to miss it.
I love that. You are not buying a new bottle. You are not changing your whole routine. You are just moving an object 2 meters to the left.
That is the entire plan. 2 meters to the left.
Okay, my turn. My one thing, I am going to unplug my phone charger before I leave for work. I always leave it plugged in. It is one of those tiny habits I know I should fix, and I just never do. So this week, I am going to try. Every morning, unplug before I leave.
Notice that Nora did not pick something she is already good at. She picked something she is not good at. That is important. The point of this challenge is not to show off. It is to be honest about one small thing you could improve.
And if you are not sure what to choose, do not choose the most impressive habit. Choose the easiest one to remember. The one that fits your real life. The one you can still do on a busy Tuesday.
Right. A habit that only works on your best day is not really a habit yet. And now, listeners, it is your turn. What is one small habit you want to try this week? Write it in the comments. Just one sentence. Start with I want to try, and then your habit. For example, I want to try bringing a reusable bag to work. Or, I want to try using up my leftovers before they go bad. One habit. One sentence. We will read some of our favorites in a future episode.
Before we finish, let us review the key phrases from today. But we are not going to read a list. Instead, I am going to give you a situation, and Miles is going to show you how to respond using today's language. Then you practice. Ready? Situation 1. A friend at work says, "Do you bring your own bag to the shops?"
I keep meaning to, but I always forget. For me, it is easier to just grab one at the store.
Situation 2. A friend says, "I think everyone should stop buying bottled water."
I see what you mean, but it depends on where you are. Not every place has a water fountain.
Situation 3. Someone asks you, "Do you plan your meals for the week?"
Personally, I think it saves time. I have been trying to plan meals, even just 3 or 4 a week.
And situation 4. A friend suggests walking to work instead of driving.
That is actually a good point, but I am not so sure it works when it rains.
Situation 5. A friend says, "Why do you buy smaller packs instead of buying in bulk?"
For me, it is cheaper to buy less if I actually use it all. It depends on what I am buying.
Now, let us practice the phrases on their own. Miles and I will say each one slowly. After we say it, you say it out loud. Ready?
Slow, clear I keep meaning to, but I always forget.
Slow, clear. For me, it is easier to
Slow, clear, I am not so sure about that.
slow, clear. It depends on the
Slow, clear, I have been trying to...
slow, clear. What do you think?
Slow, clear, I see what you mean, but...
Slow, clear. That is actually a good point. If you said even a few of those out loud, you are already building the muscle memory. Those phrases will come to you faster next time you need them.
One last challenge? Nora's gonna say something, and you respond. Out loud. Use any of the phrases we practiced today. You have 5 seconds.
A friend at work says to you, "Think we should all stop using plastic bags. What do you think?"
Here is what I would say. I see what you mean. Personally, I have been trying to bring my own bag, but it depends. Sometimes I forget, and I do not think that makes me a bad person.
That is a real answer. Not perfect, not preachy, just honest. And that is all we are asking for today.
If this episode helped you, we have a free listener mini pack with all 8 phrases, vocabulary notes, and a short practice worksheet. The link is in the description. Download it, review it, and try using one phrase this week in a real conversation.
And next time on Pocket English Daily, we are going to talk about something that comes up in every friendship, every roommate situation, and every shared office. How do you say no politely? How do you set a soft boundary without hurting someone's feelings? That one is coming soon. But for now, remember, you do not have to change everything.
Just one thing.
Starting
Tonight, bottle next to the keys.
Good night, everyone.